Madayaw, fellow teachers and students. Welcome to Teacher Maita's Heart Corner. Today, we will be learning about project method, also known as project-based method and or project-based learning, PBL. That's the more common term. For those taking up BS Ed or for teachers who need tips, this video is for you. Project-based learning is a good option, especially in the 21st century. Gone were the days when the teacher would just be talking in front of a blackboard or whiteboard. That's gone. In fact, just showing your PowerPoint and then here's the test, here's the exam, go answer it. That's all in the past. We are now in the 21st century with very modern technologies to help us. So, project-based learning is actually an adaptation of how we can adapt to the modern surroundings, how our students will be able to adapt in the modern world. And this is a good way to teach them, to help them, to give them the experience they need while they are in school so that they can function instantly when they get out there. Isn't that exciting? So, let's get into it.
Let's start by defining what is project-based method. Project-based method or project-based learning, also called PBL, is an instructional approach where students develop skills and learning through engagement of a culminating project. This project is often something real-world based or related to their field of study. Students will solve complex problems through research, investigation, and in the doing of the project. And that is the keyword, doing. Simply put, learning by doing. So why use project-based method in your teaching? Knowledge is a consequence of experience, said psychologist Jean Piaget. So it's in the doing of things where we learn. For example, how do we learn to do real-world things like cooking, cleaning, paying the bills? Isn't it when our parents task us to do household chores? In school, the teacher asks you to make a project or do a presentation. It's the same. You learn by doing something. Why is this method great for teaching? There's an instant real-world experience in doing the project. The act of discovery is already a learning process. So here are the key elements to designing projects. According to the Buck Institute of Education, the key elements to a good project design includes a challenging problem or question, sustained inquiry, authenticity, student voice and choice, reflection, critique and revision, a public product. We'll be tackling each one. The first one is a challenging problem or question. The project starts with a meaningful problem to be solved or a question to be answered by the process. So when teachers design the performance task, there should be a challenging problem that can be attained through the doing of the project. Sustained inquiry. Students engage in a rigorous, extended process of posing questions, finding resources, and applying information. The process can't be attained in 10 minutes. In doing the project, this inquiry or process of asking and posing of questions is sustained. Authenticity. The project involves real-world contexts, tasks, and tools. There should be quality standards. This project should have an impact to society. The project can also speak to the student on a personal level, interests, and issues in the student's lives. Student voice and choice. Students make some decisions about their project, including how they work and what they create, and express their own ideas in their own voice. It is in the discovery that the students gain knowledge. Reflection or assessment. Students and teachers reflect on the learning, the effectiveness of their inquiry, the project activities. Teachers must assess the quality of students' work. Students, on the other hand, reflect on this process, the obstacles that arise, and strategies for overcoming them. Critique and revision. Students give, receive, and apply feedback to improve their process and products. If there's room for improvement, shouldn't the students go for a higher quality of work? Lastly, a public product. Students make their project work public by sharing it with and explaining or presenting it to people beyond the classroom. Why must this be so? Because this is real-world experience. So teachers, I encourage you to invite industry professionals in the assessment of your students, especially when they are presenting their public product. All these elements, if combined well, result in students learning and understanding. They will gain the right skills for success. Now, how about the 7 teaching standards for teaching project-based learnings? Now, teachers, these are for you. Let's tackle the teaching standards we use to teach PBL, or project-based learning. First, align standard, design and plan, encourage and coach, assess student learning, scaffolding students' learning, manage activities, and finally, build the culture. Let's start with align standards. Teachers use standards to plan the project and make sure it addresses key knowledge and understanding from subject areas to be included. These standards will come from your institution and the Department of Education's curriculum guide. Design and plan. Teachers create or adapt a project for their context. Then, they let the students plan its implementation, from launch to culmination, while allowing for some degree of student voice and choice. As stated before, it is in the discovery that the students learn. So, let them discover. Engage and coach. You don't have to spoon feed. Teachers engage in learning and creating alongside students and identify when they need skill building, redirection, encouragement, and celebration. Assess student learning. Teachers use formative and summative assessments of knowledge, understanding, and success skills, and include self and peer assessment of team and individual work. Scaffolding students' learning. Teachers employ a variety of lessons, tools, and instructional strategies to support all students in reaching their project goals. Try implementing Vygotsky's theory on scaffolding learning. You can research that after this video. Manage activities. Teachers work with students to organize tasks and schedules, set checkpoints and deadlines, find and use resources, create products, and make them public. Finally, build the culture. Teachers explicitly and implicitly promote student independence and growth, open-minded inquiry, team spirit, and attention to quality. But wait, Teacher Maita, how autonomous do the kids have to be in choosing the project? A trade-off exists between teachers being fairly directive in choosing projects, which help maintain a focus on course and curriculum objectives, and allowing the students the autonomy to choose their own project formulations and strategies, which increases their motivation. Here are three types of projects that differ in degree of students' autonomy. Eric DeGraff and Annette Kolmos, key educators who pushes for PBL, define three types of projects that differ in the degree of student autonomy: task project, discipline project, and problem project. Let's take up each one. Here's the first one, task project. Student teams work on projects that have been defined by the instructor using largely instructor-prescribed method. This type of project is part of traditional instruction in most curricula. In other words, the teachers give them precise instructions on what the project is and how to go about it. The next one is discipline project. The instructor defines the subject area of the project and specifies in general terms the approach to be used, but the students identify the specific project and design the particular approach. In other words, teachers define the project and solution. The students provide their own steps on how to complete it. Finally, problem project. This is the most autonomous of all. The students have nearly complete autonomy to choose their projects and their approach to it. They will define the objectives, methods, and end results. Now, how do we facilitate PBL in an online setting? So that has been a reality now. We are more or less connected. So a lot of our learning actually comes online. So be mindful of the device the students are learning. Teachers, we often forget what kind of students we have. We have very varied students, different resources, different income brackets. Technology that is in the hands of the students can vary greatly. Rich Dixon, PBL Works Director of Online Learning, says, for many of our students, that may include mobile phones with a much smaller screen. Many teachers will be hoping to get students to do their projects on a desktop and laptop, but not all students might have access to one. So that should be one of the considerations. Use video conferencing platform for meaningful collaboration. Teamwork and collaboration are essential to PBL. Even if they are working on their own, there should be some sort of collaboration. In a traditional PBL classroom, students congregate in small groups and work together to solve specific problems, which include asking each other questions, brainstorming strategies, and finding resources. Online, there are tools for teachers to use and encourage, like Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, etc. Even platforms like Messenger, Viber, Discord, Slack, and more can be used by the students. Here's a helpful tip. Teachers can also encourage students to use extensions like Jamboards during the meet to give a visual on-the-spot scrapbook. Any platform that can share and communicate can be used. It's up to the students to find which one they are comfortable with and which one suits their need. As I said before, we wish that students had desktops and laptops, but some students might only have access to a mobile phone or tablet. So the best thing is to consider the platforms we use. Make group work effective with project management tools. Teachers have to manage student groups. They have to check in and give progress report regularly. Having an effective project management tool such as Project Pals, HeadRush, Student Corner, Trello, Asana, etc. could greatly help. But even Google Classroom would do if that is where teachers and students are comfortable with. Provide ongoing feedback and promote reflection. Using PBL in remote learning lets teachers build a meaningful curriculum while giving students the opportunity to collaborate and connect with each other. Teachers need to give feedback regularly so the student teams know they are on the right track. So, is PBL for all? Let's weigh the pros and cons of PBL. Pros. There's more student engagement because they have more control over the project. This tests the students on their resourcefulness, creativity, and critical thinking skills. They learn through discovery, problem solving, and assessment. Finally, there's real-world experiences. However, there is a downside. Easily there are distractions. There's a real danger that students would deviate from the objectives. And if they don't meet the objectives, how can the assessment be successful or accurate? If the project won't work, what would be the grade? So teachers, you need to consider that. Students might forget the product and concentrate on the process more. Sometimes they're too in love with the process, they forget that there's a deadline for when the product must be presented. And of course, there's lack of resources in some areas, and it will be difficult for these students to complete on time. Here are some sample projects that I can recommend. Of course, this will differ, depends on what your objectives are. So for core subjects like English, Filipino, history, science, math, you can ask the students to do short stories or novellas. They can create and draw their own storybooks, make a talk show or podcast, documentary, film, or play. For specialized subjects related to sewing, draping, and fashion, they can produce or participate in a fashion show using their own creations. Subjects related to physical education, they can produce short how-to videos on aerobics, dance, or sport. Other suggested projects, they can make coffee table books, magazine, create a product, or a play. Well, teacher might recommend PBL. It is a resounding yes. Learning is an active process. Classrooms are the safest place to test out ideas, theories, and projects safely. So when you are assessing, please take note that the assessment is a good tool, even when the student teams don't meet the final deadline. Please assess. See if they actually learned something while doing the process. A well-planned project will create learners who will love learning. Here are some tips for teachers. Don't plan big projects. Remember, these guys are students, and you're usually working with a time frame. Would it be in a week's time, a quarter, a semester, a term? So don't plan something too big. Encourage your student to plan a manageable project. Teachers, you can incorporate their quizzes into their projects, especially those teaching basic education. Remember, assessment is also part of the learning. So if they're doing a science experiment and it didn't work, you can assess them if they actually learned something or not. Now here are tips for the students. Students, assess your skills and resources before you submit your project plan. What do you have to work with? Given today's climate and situation, what do you have on hand? If there are some materials that you need to be ordering online, please make sure that they reach you in time for you to be making your project and submitting them within the given time frame. Check in regularly with your teammates and teachers. Remember, it's your job to reach out regularly to your teacher and your teammates, not theirs. Listen to everyone's feedback. You don't have to do everything, but you have to listen and assess which one you can implement or which one applies. Get organized, manage your time well. As I said, you are working on a time frame. You have to know how to manage your time. This is part of project-based learning. So keep learning, and I hope you've learned a thing or two in this video. Comment below if you have something to say.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you subscribe, like, and share my content. I have other videos for students and fellow teachers. I am going to be concentrating a lot on online teaching or online learning in my videos, as given the current climate, I think is very appropriate. So, please connect with me through Facebook, and I have other YouTube channels. I have other Facebook pages too. So the links to those will be down below. I am currently a teacher and also a student of education. I hope to see you guys in my next video. You can comment some suggestions. I'd be happy to look at them, and I will try my best to do some suggested videos or suggested tips that you might have. And with that, I bid you all a great Madayaw.